Hello, it's finally Monday. Let's go through the markets and see what's going on. Let's see here. So over the weekend, the war broadened. 9th straight day of U.S. strikes and the first U.S. combat deaths in Jordan, and Iranian missiles into Kuwait that shut down the airport. Brent looked like it printed 90 overnight and then gave the entire round trip down, gave the move back. So this morning we're back down to the support level. From what I'm seeing, the market's trading the talks, and the trade is the blockade, saying the Strait of Hormuz is non-negotiable. So the market bought the first half of that statement and ignored the second. The first half was sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. So they're going back and forth on that. And Friday's close was pretty ugly, pretty broad. And the only sector that was green was XLE, which if you've been following us on this live stream for a while, you know that we've called the entire energy move, and we're watching this into the immediate price target. But XLE's been a great trade throughout this entire war stuff going on since about, 2 weeks ago. Looks like defensives led for the third straight session, and the VIX closed up at 1877. Let's see what the VIX is looking like here. So it looks like this morning the tape is doing the opposite. Semis are up 1.7% or so in the pre-market, which Friday last week they were getting sold into. So we're seeing a bounce. We have crazy high volume, indecisive candle on that, right at that previous, what was it, May 19th. So looks like volatility is down. The overnight is fighting the Friday regime, basically, on the headlines. Energy never really bought the crude spike, so now they're kind of drifting lower that we saw. And we're kind of waiting around for the ceasefire, and we're just kind of going back and forth on that. Let's look at some stuff, what we went through this morning. Brent's moving, we just went over that. XLE's kind of round tripping, and then SMH, semis are going in pretty tough. EURUSD looks like it's just further consolidating as we're seeing some Sunday geopolitical spike, Middle East tensions. So it's just kind of more consolidation range stuff. TRV surged 9% on Friday. Q2 earnings was good, raised analyst price targets. They're going to be doing some share buyback. So this is surviving the macro volatility for sure. If this dips down into the 350 range, then we probably add to some strength. Not chasing. USG, the JPY, they're off today, so we're seeing some thin liquidity. We had some overnight highs, but basically just further consolidating. Our pound short is cooking. We're going to trail it at 1.3484, and that's kind of in line with where some sell side pressure went into it. And we're going to get kind of greedy and go down to the 200-day, but for right now, it looks like Burnham will appoint a fiscally prudent chancellor, so we'll see if that changes anything on their side. And that's about it. So let's go through the trades on the book, and let's see what we have cooking here. Box scanner, Claude, DeepSeek, exclude. Okay, cool. So we had a trade on Friday. Let's do this. Okay, so we're down to 10 trades. So I like that a little bit better. So let's do this. Ryan, high volume, breakout, bearish candle, trying to break out of that February 19th level to break into the February 12th level. So price broke, got into it, saw some sell side. We're going to ride this out and see where it goes. What was that? Was that last year? No, February. Okay. XLE, we've been watching that guy. We have 2 positions in that. So we'll just keep that open. Our Novo trade filled last week. So got a lower volume pullback. Price up, testing July 2nd. Stop loss remains. SPCS is just your old-fashioned gap fill. Definitely seeing some sell pressure here. We're going to keep a wide stop. Okay, XLF, that's a golden cross, so we don't do anything with that. This is our original XLE. Oops. Our stop is pretty wide, so we might want to start moving this to break even. This should already be at break even, 2%. I'm going to at least put it underneath my entry. We'll see where this goes. Actually, we're just going to move this to break even. And what was this? Higher volume, indecisive candle, real close to the target. Okay, need to make a note of that. We have 2 positions on that, so we got to deal with that. Microsoft, okay, lower volume pullback, testing July 2nd, and then pre-market. PVI. Okay, this is just kind of floating around. I'm going to move the stop up to break even. Just a little bit. I'm going to lock in a little bit of profit here. I do expect the price to come back down, but if it does, I don't really want to be hanging out on that. So that's the 3rd day. Okay. Up above. Okay. I got Claude running. And this computer's so shaky, it might just end this live stream, so we gotta stop him for a second. Where are we going now? PBI. It's trying to get out of this range. It's not. We're gonna move the stop up. if price goes below the 14th, I don't really want to be a part of that. Not sure if that's choking it. We're still playing around with what that looks like. Okay. So PVI, let's look at this. Lower volume as it tries to break out of the July 10th high. We're seeing some sell pressure as it tries to wick up. We're going to assume it pulls back a touch, but we're wanting to see higher highs, higher lows. So maybe even just a little bit more. So 1753. So price might pull back. I might test this test for stops on the 14th, but I don't want to wait for it to go back down to the previous range that it broke out of from July 17th over. So we're expecting this to continue out of the June 29th high, not test the June 22nd range again. We assume this is beyond the June 17th. We want to reduce some risk, price going back down. This is like 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I think that's a good decision. NTB. Looks like we moved our stop pretty high. So we moved our stop on NTB on July 16th. And we moved it underneath that breakout bar. And then we had an absorptions within the second day. So an inside candle day of really just testing if there's any sellers or buyers within that range. And this was low volume too. Definitely lower volume than the breakout. So this is a good position for us. We did not get stopped out because the price was within the 16th range. We had price with wiggle. We had a stop price with wiggle room just underneath that breakout bar. I can see this going further. I might put a second position on this actually on the 16th. So let's look at this. Let's consider putting a second position on this. Let's look at the full view here. What's our nearest range? We've already broken the October. Okay. So what is this? Finance? So banks. We might put a second position above this in strength. We'll see. XLF is just consolidating. Interesting. Actually, I need to put a stop on XLF. Okay, we might look at that in TB. Okay, CSX is our last one in the book. Oh, we're up 7% on this guy. So we had a super high volume, indecisive candle. Price is retesting. That's some really high volume. I'm going to keep the stop. I'm going to put the stop just underneath, just a little bit more. Moving stop a little closer to the 15th. Okay. Let's look at the signals this morning. 20th. Leadership. Mo's just consolidating. We had a consolidation breakout attempt on Mo, and then lower volume getting filled back in. It's interesting. Let's see if we have any high tight flags that look good. Yeah. Sector rotation is showing XLE yet again today, so that's a good sign. Not seeing too much going on here, so let's go back. And we had the AI review sent out last week on SignalDeck, so every Sunday the AI reviews your book and gives you some insight. And we're just beta testing this to see kind of what goes on here. So we just kind of were flat last week, showing improvement compared to the previous week. We only had 2 trades that closed. This is kind of flagging, which is really interesting because it pulls from your trade journal, which is why it's so important to use the trade journal aspect. It just calls out some trades that, stupid, I didn't honor the price target. I remember that one. That was CVS. That was a win, but it was a bad win because I didn't honor the price target. I got lucky, but I definitely could not have. I don't know why I didn't do that. It's so stupid. And then there was one of them that says, I'm not even sure what to do. So there's some sort of gap in my learning from each trade. So I need to work on that this week. It's saying I did not journal. So that's kind of wrong because I just journal every morning. But I need to uphold my risk limits. That's true. And I need to clarify trade management rules. This is definitely true. So the AI review for last week is really helpful. And all users of SignalDeck get access to this. So every week it sends it out to you on Sunday to give you a look at the week ahead there, which is super helpful. Yeah, I think we're going to probably stay out of the market. We have some stops to update here. And we're just going to kind of see how this macro news plays out and kind of go from there. So see how it goes and appreciate it.